Hey guys, I'm going to show you today how to oil trumpet valves if they are sticky. So remember, we have our valves numbered from where the mouthpiece would go, 1, 2, 3. You only need to oil the one that starts to stick. So if they're not bouncing up and down, like this one had a little bit of slug to it just a second ago, that means it might need to be oiled. You don't oil it unless it needs oil. So every so often, depending on how much you play it. So what we do is we just unscrew this whole piece and we slide the valve out. And what you could do is, as you're sliding it out, up here at the top, somewhere you should see the number. In this case, the number is right over here. I'll turn it a little bit so you can see it. There's a number 2 right there where it shows you this is the second valve. And I memorize how this looks like it is lined up. So we have our fatter piece of plastic on the bell side, and we have our thinner piece of plastic guide right here on the mouthpiece side. And I'm going to show you why that's important. So we slide the whole valve out. We only want to oil this section down here where all the holes are. This up here does not need any oil. It just has the spring involved in it. Okay? Be very careful that we don't twist the wrong part because this up here does come off, and then you have the valve in pieces. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our valve oil that you guys all have, and we're going to put just a little bit. I'm not even really going to squeeze. I'm just going to let it kind of drip. I'm going to coat the valve with just a little bit of oil on it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick the valve back in and twist it around a little bit. That gets the oil all nice and coated. And then make sure you always twist to the right mostly, so that way it doesn't unscrew the valve. Then I'm going to show you why these plastic things are important. I'm going to hold the trumpet up to the camera, and if you look on this mouthpiece side, halfway down, about here, you're going to see a little ring around the whole thing, and on the top side, you're going to see a little cutout right at the top. So if you look nice and carefully, you can see that little cutout there about halfway down. You see the whole ring goes all the way around. You see the little cutout about halfway. That cutout is what this plastic piece sits in. That prevents the valve from spinning, and that is what guides this trumpet valve up and down. So when we put it in, I'm going to put it just off to the side. I remember my number 2 faced the mouthpiece. So I'm going to put it just in like that, and I'm going to give it a little twist to the right where I saw that it would line up, and I'm going to hold it right up to the microphone, and you're going to see if you could hear the little click that tells you it lined up. Actually, I'm going to move my camera over here so you can see a little bit better. I'm just going to twist, and then I got that nice little click. I don't know if you heard it at all. That means it clicked in place, and now if I lightly jiggle back and forth, just like these other valves, it does not twist. And then we just screw this back in. And the way you check, just to make sure, did you line all your valves up correctly, is you just put your mouth on it, no mouthpiece needed, and you just blow. If air goes through, you're good. So that means the trumpet is going to work because air is making its way through. If I took this valve and I put it in backwards, air does not really go through, so that tells me the valve is not lined up. If you mix up your first, second, and third valves and put them in the wrong spots, they're not going to line up because all those holes you saw in the valve line up with all these tubes coming out, and they only work in the specific valve spot. So please make sure you only take out one valve at a time and put a little oil on it and then put it back inside and screw it together. That is how we oil our valves. Now, the only other thing we need to do is occasionally we will also oil our tuning slides. So any tuning slide that is attached to a valve, we push the valve down. So I'm going to pull out this one. I push the third valve, and we only need to do this, beginners, when I tell you we're going to start using our tuning slides. So for right now, we're not going to worry about it too much yet. But trumpets, we are going to start worrying about this third valve. So we're going to just slide this one out. I'm going to have my finger down, because if I don't, it's going to create a vacuum pressure and it's going to pop. If it pops when it comes out, that damages the instrument. We don't want to do that. Then you're going to take your tuning slide grease. Some of you, it's a little tiny container. Others of you might look like this, looks like chapstick. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just take a little bit out like this, very tiny bit, and just like you would put chapstick on your lips, you're just going to put a tiny bit on your valves. Very little. You can see that I didn't really use much at all of what was sticking out. And then we just stick it in one side, twist around a little bit so it coats, stick it in the other side, twist back and forth a little bit so it coats, and then remember how it goes. So if our trumpet's facing this direction, our spit valves are always, our water keys are always facing down. So it goes back in this way. And we just line it up nice and carefully. And we just slide it back in, push our valve down, and push it the rest of the way back in. And that is how we oil our tune slides. All we'd have to worry about is this third one, and then this main one right here that would come out. This trumpet, it's stuck inside, so it's not really coming out. But this one and the third valve one are the only ones that need to really be able to move right now. Okay? So you'd only oil these if they're not moving very easily, or after you've washed the instrument. Those are the only times you would need to oil these. So again, not very much. This much tune slide grease should last years. Not one semester, but years. And that is how you oil and grease all the parts of the trumpet.